It is a Zoom meeting and also in person with Ellen Clark Lawrence and Matt Brennan from the Village Trustees. And also joining us is Art Smith and the Fire Chief for Saxtons River Fire Department. Matt, how is that?
Very good.
Okay, good. Just in a quick, just to give you guys an update. So tomorrow I'm going to go to the meeting with Gary. Believe it's at 6 p.m. And just to make sure that everybody knows what's going on, it is just the application, the grant application for the feasibility study. There's no fees involved for this application at all. It is a competitive grant. There's 2 layers to it. The first one is the state, and that grant has to be submitted by December 17th. Gary is working on it, Gary Fox. He has confidence that he has everything that he needs for the application. If we do win or are approved for this, then that will go the next phase. It will come and talk again with everyone to decide if we want to proceed with the grant. The grant is $20,000. $5,000 would come from Saxtons River from the fire department fund that we have, $5,000 hopefully from the town, and then $10,000 would come from the USDA grant. And the purpose of the feasibility study is to show the purpose and need for the fire department. What is being protected in the area from having a fire department. Also geocentric, the locations of the various fire departments that we have. So Rockingham, the Bellows Falls, and also Saxtons River. What is the response time? If we have the right coverage for the area, and also what kind of cost is involved? Like what's the time to travel, the coverage area, the value system for this, the area that has to be protected. So where I'm going with all this is, in order to apply for this grant, all the work that was done already was fantastic. I know like $42,000 worth of money has been spent on research, and I have here with me all of the drawings and engineering reports and so forth. All of this money is not going to waste because we needed this information in order to be able to apply for this grant. So definitely good news. There was one piece of information that I was missing that I think I've found. And let's see, I found it on one of the schematic. Yeah, here it is. This was the one that from the presentation that was done to the trustees in December of 2014. And Gary had asked if the trolley portion was under consideration to be, raised. And I said I didn't think that it was, because that would kind of like make things more difficult. And according to this picture here, it was keeping that portion.
Yeah.
So that was good to know. I had to zoom in. I couldn't really see it very well. So do you guys have any questions? Am I clear on the information that I presented? Do you have any?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and you probably can't answer it. It's probably more for Gary but this feasibility study is going to help us identify all of that.
Right. Yeah.
My goal was to get somewhere to get money for design of the new fire station, and so we don't know that. This is probably an important step. Shows that all the work that's been done.
Yeah, because we needed to be able to present information that we've already done, like the research that has already been done. And it didn't seem like that there'd be an issue, because some of this information was from 2014, because you have those studies that came in 2014 or that information. And then Matt, you have your information that was comprehensive as well from 2019. And also even back to 2013, I had found some too. You have a lot of information here. So this feasibility grant is really just to show what is needed. And in terms of for the fire department to show its coverage area. Let me show here. Show its coverage area, its response time, what area is being protected, and to make sure that this fire department would be covering the right area. So for example, maybe the coverage area is bigger than what we realized it should be, or maybe, that part I don't know. I'm just speculating on that part. It's really just a value added system. So it'll be months, I think, before we know if we've won this grant. But it's really just to have the application go through and then to see if we can actually get in and then be approved. And then that's when we decide whether or not we want to spend the money.
To what end does this feasibility grant get us?
It'll allow, let me see, hold on, somebody's trying to call me.
I say it's a justification of needing
It is
a fire station.
because there's no obligation. I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All I was going to say is there's no obligation to proceed with the study, even if we win the award for it. And the feasibility is going to present alternatives. It'll be information as to a decision. It'll be a decision-making tool for us. And then as a result from it, we'd be able to get bids for contractors and have the experts come in and then tell us what needs to be done in terms of a building. And then also the other resources that would go along with that. They would answer all the other questions. Does that make sense?
Kinda. It's just we've been at this for 20 years and it's like just reinventing the wheel again.
Yeah,
We
and
have
it's
all
not.
that information already.
Well, because I couldn't find, and I apologize, Art, if you have that. I didn't have any information regarding any research or current research or studies that were done to show response time, travel, coverage area, benefits of protecting the character and structure of the village. Is there anything current regarding that?
And not that I can think of. I mean, the
Okay.
response area has been the same for 100 years, it seems like, but.
Yeah.
And I can give you those borders but I couldn't calculate how many square miles. That'd be something that Gary would have to do. And we protect more than the village. We protect a third of the town of Rockingham.
Yeah, and this also would incorporate too, from what I understand, the town, Rockingham Fire Department as well. And what area that they service and their coverage time and their response times. So no matter anyone's concerns, it definitely is beneficial that all this research has been done and this money has been spent, because all of it was needed to get to this point to be able to pay for the grant. So we're definitely not reinventing the wheel. We just need that information to get to this point.
Yeah, unfortunately, Art, I think it's probably going to be a very helpful tool to show justification instead of, a small committee saying, hey, we need a new fire station. I know we can do that, but it may be beneficial for grants for building the fire station. I would hope.
Yep. Hi, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that there were people in the waiting room. I was trying to manage too much here. I'm sorry, Matt. So we can recap if you like, Peter. Hi, Gary.
Yeah, Gary should probably weigh in on where this goes after and the benefits of it.
I'll just say where we've been so far. So Gary, I just went over with Matt and Art what the feasibility study would, the purpose of it.
I just did as much as I can.
Okay, he says, he just said that he would need to join another computer in order to participate.
Yeah.
So wait, Rick is texting me. Hold on.
So, what's that? Yeah, I think he's got his cot laid out here.
Okay, so so Gary said that he's listening and he can join if we want him to. Just give him a minute.
So, Christie, how committed do you feel?
Hi, Rick.
Hello, Ellen.
Jeez.
Rick and I have worked together for a long time.
I've been sitting here for 10 minutes watching the little dial spin.
Sorry.
No.
I was trying to manage it all, like admit people, talk, present. So Gary is going to try and join us. Sorry, just in a nutshell, just to go over, I was discussing with Art and Matt the purpose of the feasibility study, and that this is not reinventing the wheel. What's really important for everyone to know is that all the information, the research that has been done so far, which is in the neighborhood of like $42,000 worth of research, that is all needed for this feasibility grant. The grant application is free. There's no charge for the application grant. It has to be submitted by December 17th. There's also no obligation to accept if we are chosen. It's a competitive grant. There are other towns and villages within the state of Vermont that will be applying for this. I do believe it'll be months before that we know if we are accepted into the program. If we are accepted, it is $20,000 for the grant. It is $5,000 would come from the village of Saxtons River. $5,000 would come hopefully from the town of Rockingham. That's why I will be attending the select board meeting tomorrow night with Gary. And then $10,000 would come from the USDA grant. And the purpose of the feasibility study is to show need and what is being protected with the current fire department, as well as also the Rockingham Fire Department, Volunteer Fire Department, I believe also the Bellows Falls Fire Department. It will focus on geocentric locations of the stations to each other, the amount of coverage that each one has, in addition to the travel time, response time. Also, it will show a value system, character, and area to protect. For example, the village of Saxtons River, we have a lot of buildings here that are very old and have historical value. And I want to just reiterate, there is no cost to apply for this grant. If we are accepted, we would then meet again to discuss if this is what we want to continue with. If we've had second thoughts, decided we don't want to do it, we will discuss that when the time comes. There is absolutely no obligation whatsoever. The feasibility study will also present to us various alternatives. Its information that it provides will really just make us, it'll be like a decision-making tool. It will afford us the opportunity then to get bids for consultants and experts to come in. And once again, there is no obligation to proceed with this study. There's no expense at all for us just to apply. to the grant. I do have here all the information. Thank you to everybody who has submitted them to me. I have the report starting in 2014 that Jim McCaffrey had done. I have the Marquisa Morano. I have various schematics, and all of this was super helpful because Gary needed this information in order to apply for the grant. So all of this work needed to be done in order to do the grant. So I hope that answers everyone's questions, or if there's anything more I can answer, I'd be happy to.
I have a question.
Sure.
This is Ellen Howard.
Hi, Ellen.
My question is this grant location specific? In other words, does this grant only apply to the current location of the fire station facility?
It's this area from what I understand. So the town of Rockingham. So the fire department's in the town of Rockingham. So the village, the volunteer Rockingham Fire Department, Saxtons River, and I'm not 100% sure about Bellows Falls. I would assume so.
That Peter Golick here, that Alan, that's going to raise a problem at this meeting or the select board meeting, unless the other departments are having their say in this. If you're looking at coverages and stuff and who's covering what, who's on first and who's on second, they should have some voice in what is going on. And to date, as far as I know, nobody has contacted them. I've talked to the couple of them myself, but it's not my job to bring them to the meeting. And I talked to Gary for a very short 3 minutes the other day because he had a meeting to get to. So he is aware of the situation, and he's called me to meet with him and talk about it a little further. Hopefully I can get in there tomorrow before the meeting and discuss things. But if not, we'll have to take it up at the board meeting tomorrow night.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And I appreciate that, Peter, because the thing is, no decision other than just applying for the grant, because there's no fees involved with this. So if we submit the grant application by December 17th, and then if we win, or, like approved, or they're giving us, they say, yes, you've gotten the grant, it has to come before it has to become before the Rockingham Fire Department, Saxtons River Fire Department. And then I think also it would have to come before Bellows Falls. So no decisions would be made, just Saxtons River or just Bellows Falls or just Rockingham. It would be a group decision from what I understand it to be.
Have they been including Saxtons River and all the talks that they're having? It didn't really sound that way to me the other night.
For Rockingham, or?
Well, there's this whole fire committee thing that's happening within the town, and it wasn't clear to me whether Saxtons River was included in all those discussions.
Oh, okay. I think that had to do with the equipment, right, Art?
Yes, and we have
Okay.
been included. We've been,
Okay.
I think you're referring to the fire committee and the grants we're pursuing through the town.
I guess
Yeah.
so. I tried to ask some questions. Deb Wright didn't really want me to talk or ask questions. It didn't seem like so.
Oh, I haven't seen her at any of those meetings, so I can't speak on her behalf, but yeah, we've been
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah. So I'm really grateful for the amount of work that had been done over the years, because that is, so you're looking, what I guess I really want to stress is nothing is being reinvented. The wheel is not being reinvented. This money is not going to be, it's, my biggest concern was that I didn't want any of this information to go to waste or not be used from all the time and energy and money that had been spent. So we can use this for the application. And that to me is really significant, because there's been so much that's been put into this. And the fact that, people back then in 2014, 2013, 2019, maybe didn't realize, even, if we come against obstacles, we still will be able to use this information. So I'm really happy about that.
The other thing I'd like to touch on a little bit is the fact that without the other people being involved, you're asking the town to kick in $5,000
Mhm.
And the other 5, which your statement of doesn't cost anything to apply for the grant is a little confusing because people are saying, we're applying for this study and it's going to cost everybody $5,000. So to make the statement does not cost anything to apply for the grant, it may be a little misleading, but that's another story. But to get back to the Rick's question
Well-
on the equipment stuff, and Art's answer was, and his and maybe Debbie's response, I'm not sticking up for anybody because it was at the joint board meeting, but I know that when we first talked about it, maybe the last joint board meeting, which would have been in September, if I'm not mistaken, the original makeup of the committee was the 3 fire chiefs and a member of each board, a chairperson from each board. And that got changed to have the 3 chiefs there. So that may be what Debbie was alluding to when she said that she didn't want Rick to talk or was, didn't want to get into it at that meeting because it really didn't involve the 2 boards. So I'm hoping that may, clear up some of the question in Rick's mind that, that may have not been the point too. I haven't been involved with any of the meetings either, so I have no clue what's going on either, Rick. So we're all in the dark, except for maybe Art if he's attended those meetings. I don't know, but I do know the basis for the equipment purchase thing. It's town bus buy the equipment. They don't build fire stations, but they will build. They will buy the equipment for the 3 departments. So.
Peter, if you don't mind, I just want to go back to your concern regarding the 5,000. That's only if we are accepted, and we cannot spend that money without making sure we've all agreed to it. That's not anybody's decision, one person's decision or one fire department's decision or the villages or the towns. It's a group decision. It has to be met on. And then the money is, it's just knowing that we could use the money if we needed it. There's some ifs here. Does that help clarify?
Well, the only reason I brought that up is the motion that's supposed to be proposed for tomorrow night reads, we authorize the business manager to execute any and all documents required for filing of this application, which is for the facilities grant, and commit $5,000. So you're asking us to be prepared to spend the money. That's so I don't know. That's what the motion says. What Gary's typed up in the motion. So
Right. So
clarify that point.
So Peter, it doesn't cost money to apply for the grant, but we want to be approved to be able to spend the money. So if we need to talk to the town of Rockingham Fire Department and Bellows Falls Fire Department after the fact, then that's fine, but we've been approved to spend it. And if it is determined, no, we don't want to spend it after the fact, then it won't be. But we're just asking in advance so that we can apply. And if we do receive it, if we're not approved for the grant, then the money's not spent, obviously.
It's moot.
Right. So
I get that. I get that.
Okay, we're not asking the Village of Bellows Falls to help us pay for a fire station. Although I think the town of Rockingham, my taxes probably paid for that fire station at some point in the past.
I don't think you're right on that account. That was all by the village. And they even
no, not the Bellows Falls one, the town of Rockingham.
Well, that's a town.
The town garage with the fire station?
Right.
Yeah, my Rockingham taxes paid for that, correct?
They just took over 2 bays. That's all they got.
Right. But my taxes, anyone in Saxons River that pays town of Rockingham taxes paid for that station.
If you want to call it a station, yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So
And just to clarify, the $5,000 that we approved is not from the town funds. That's from the village
right
fund that we have money set aside just to make sure that we know we don't have the ability to authorize town funds for anything like this.
Yeah, and it's from the fire department fund.
So what we're trying to do is obviously, as you know, build a fire station in Saxons River, and we have such a small tax base that it's going to affect, if we can't get a lot of fundraising and grant money to do it, then everyone here this evening, their taxes, village taxes are going to go up significantly to pay for it. So that's another reason why we're going this route. I think that this grant, although maybe slows the process, it probably helps it in the long run, because it shows when we go for grants that it's gone through all of this. I see it as nothing as a benefit.
Yeah, I'm just really grateful that all this research had been done and that it's not, it wasn't done in vain, that, that money was spent and then nothing happened. So that money is actually the investment, the time and investment that has been done has afforded us this opportunity to apply for the grant. And I'm really grateful also for Gary Fox for being able to pick this up and be able to apply for the grant.
Is he available?
He was listening, and then I think he wanted to participate, but he had to get it onto a different computer.
Ellen Howard again. I just want to clarify, the total amount is 20,000.
Yes.
Okay, now, if the 10,000 is coming hopefully between the town of Rockingham and Saxons River Village, and I just want to clarify, where's the other 10 coming from?
USDA.
Okay, so if no further movement is made towards obtaining funds through USDA, is there any requirement to pay back that $10,000?
Good question.
Yeah, that part I don't know.
So Gary would have to.
Yeah, Gary would have to answer that.
Could that be clarified before tomorrow night's
I
meeting?
think Gary's in the waiting room.
Oh, he is? Okay.
He was, he may have gone now.
Oh, yeah, because I haven't seen. Oh, wait. Oh, there he is. Hey, Gary.
Hey there.
Ellen Howard just had a really good question that.
Apologize for leaving him hanging, Ellen.
Sorry, Gary, for leaving you hanging.
There's another meeting going on in
I'm
here.
not so good at this multitasking. Ellen Howard just had a really good question, Gary, that we think you may be able to answer. Ellen, would you like to ask the question again, please?
Well, 5,000 would be coming hopefully from the town, another 5 from Saxons River Village, and the balance is a USDA funds. And my question is, if the village does not proceed further to obtain funds from USDA for the fire station project, does the village have to pay back the $10,000 to USDA for this particular project?
No, so the feasibility study is just that. It's to provide information so that there's good data to inform decision-making, and it's not tied to any future projects at all. So it's a good question. Some grants are. The USDA community facilities, technical assistance is not.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Are there any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, Matt.
This feasibility study, how does it help us move forward with building a new fire station in Saxons River?
Yeah, so there's a number of things. If you're applying for any grant funds, they're going to want to see purpose and need. Mm-hmm. And I understand there's been studies in the past, but they're going to really want current data. So they look at fire departments, coverage areas, response times, anything that provides information for them to do alternatives analysis, show, how much is the coverage area and why do you need the station there? And and how many vehicles, what size station do you need? And then they'll present a number of alternatives and provide information with each one. Say, from this location with these, with both of these stations, your response time to, the furthest out of the coverage area where you're providing fire protection, and the cost to deliver services out there. And so they'll show that with, the alternatives of where the fire station is placed. One of probably like where would a combined fire station be? Like if there was going to be a new station for Saxtons River to move into and Rockingham to move into, and they shared it, what would the cost of service
Recording
there be?
in progress.
Oops, I'm sorry.
And basically, it gives you information. There's going to be trade-offs in any decision that you make, and this will show you that type of information. And it's about being well informed for the decision. And then when you're providing a grant, what pieces of your situation support whatever your decision making is. So for instance, say that the best response times to anyone in your coverage area has your station 2 miles out on Pleasant Valley Road towards Route 103. So I'm using this for purposes of example. I doubt that's the case, but say it was, your feasibility study would also show, maybe it's a couple of residences out there, and it puts you at a worse response time for your village center, where you have a number of assets like schools and wastewater treatment. And so that information would be in your feasibility study. And if your decision is to have the station in Saxtons River, then you have those comparisons. You'd say, well, we have a feasibility study, we have information on X, Y, and Z, and Z shows what the benefits are of having it in the village of Saxtons River, and for our values and what we want the fire station to accomplish. This is the data that this is what we're doing. This is the data that backs that up, that matches where our community is at. Mm-hmm. So really, you want to be able to have a data-driven decision, and it doesn't say what your decision is going to be, but you really need the third-party expertise backing up what you're doing if you're going to use, go for grants where you get public money that's helping to build the facility. That's the basic premise there.
Let me throw another wood on the fire here, Gary. Maybe you can't answer it, or maybe Art will have to throw his 2 cents in on this one. But currently, Saxtons River services Athens, which is under, I assume, some sort of a contract. I don't know if it's written or verbal or whatever. How does that weigh in on this procedure? With the grant? And Athens is not within the town of Rockingham. Would that be taken into consideration?
So if you're contracted to provide that service as opposed to mutual aid, then that's part of your coverage area and would go into the picture. But I would imagine that if you were contracted to do that as opposed to mutual aid, that there would be a fee for service or some type of other aspect that would also go into the data of the cost of operating your facility when you're doing those alternatives comparisons.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing in the minutes, one of the past trustee minutes, that Rick was trying to gather all that information about run times and things of that nature. So I was just curious how that would work out. If this study would recommend some changes to that contract, or or whatever.
So the study is going to show you different alternatives, costs, coverage areas, but it won't make the decisions for you. You basically, the feasibility study provides the data, and then you make the decisions on it. So things like the cost of operating the facilities goes into it. And if you're providing service to Athens and you have fires and calls out there, you're going further to provide the services, and it increases your cost of operations in any scenario. Runs of scenarios for the cost analysis, but it won't say that you should or shouldn't serve Athens. It will provide you with the data information on coverage area, response times, costs of operating that facility. Same with if you were to move into the same facility as the Rockingham Fire Department, it would show you, what the costs of operations are, which certainly would be less for operating one station than two. But then there might be other pieces like response times. Maybe you lose so much distance in responding to some segment of your coverage area that it's you can't value the cost of a fire going for an extra 10 minutes and losing assets or lives. And so it's basically, it's really hard to say, this is the best decision without knowing the data, without knowing what your response times are, your coverage areas, your costs. How can any of us say what the best scenario is? So it's really about getting all the information for that. And then in terms of the facility itself, you have you do have plans for facilities, and those can be shared with the consultants and asked to be updated. So here's plans for a facility, and you want the backup for if that still exists to meet current needs. And I saw that there was a $800,000 number and then a refinement in 2019 to a $500,000 number. So, you could give those parameters. We're trying to keep our building under $500,000 and, but need to show the requirement. What's the minimum facility that we need to house our turnout gear and air packs, and a brush truck and a pumper truck, and a department of 8 firefighters or whatever the numbers are. So you could have that piece updated because the grant applications would want that as well. If that was the decision to build a station and you had the identified site, you would want that that backup, current backup for that.
If the feasibility comes out that they decide to proceed, is the grant from USDA, is that a grant with no matching funds, or is that a loan, low interest loan? Gary, I know when I talked to USDA a while ago, it was a loan situation with matching funds.
Yeah, so the USDA Community Facilities Program will provide a $50,000 grant, and will provide loans up to millions along with the grant as part of the same grant loan program. So I think when you have a total cost, we would want to research all funding options and use the loan for the loan portion for any gap. It might be that there's another grant program that will provide another $50,000, and so that will reduce the USDA loan amount by that much. Or you can do only the grant portion, apply for the $50,000 grant and use, like I saw you had a Mascoma Bank for a more advantageous bond to build the station than the other one. So you don't have to do the loan portion of community facilities. You can apply to just the grant portion and get your debt financing elsewhere.
Any other questions? Good. Well, I want to thank everybody for attending the meeting and getting
Yeah.
clarification. And thanks so much, Gary, for all your help. I really appreciate it.
Tomorrow night, Alan.
I'll see you tomorrow night. And so
Need a motion to adjourn?
I am putting forward a motion to adjourn. Hold on one second. Is that how I say it? I call.
Somebody needs to make the motion, Ellen, and you can ask for a motion. You're the running the meeting. You shouldn't be making a motion. but
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There you go. Matt's on it. I think Rick was waving his hand. He's going to second, I think.
He was going, I second it.
I was saying goodbye.
Oh.
Thanks, everyone. Meeting adjourned.
Good night.
Have a good night. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Record.